Good morning and welcome back. As you can see, I'm in the shed today because it's wreath making day and it's very, very cold today, but I've had the fan heater going in the shed for the last sort of hour, so it's quite toasty in here. I have been gathering bits and pieces for this wreath for quite a while. I've had stems that have been drying from the summer, stems that have come from bouquets that I've just kept and dried in the house. I also have some really unusual pieces that I picked up that I found online, and I also have some greenery that I ordered from one of those wreath making suppliers. There are so many now that if you don't have a garden that has mature trees, it's very, very easy to pick up greenery online. If you just do a Google search for wreath making kits, hundreds come up now because it's very, very popular to make your own wreath. And there's a lot of information out there about how to make a wreath, and there's a lot of different methods as well. The way I make it, I think, is quite easy. I hope to show you that today, and I will take you through step by step on how I make mine. So you just have to decide what's best for you. But first, before I get into the wreath making, I have spotted some laurel, and I think a few stems of that would actually be quite lovely in the wreath. So I'm going to go snip a few and bring them in. I've been meaning to clip this holly bush that's getting slightly out of control. It's meant to be a ball. Right, let me show you what I have in terms of wreath making supplies. So I have some stems of spruce, fir and pine, and that's what I received in the wreath making kit. And then I picked up some eucalyptus and the other variety of eucalyptus, I can't remember the name of that, but also has the seed heads on, which I think just adds a lovely different texture. And then at the back here, move my stool. And at the back here I have some sea holly that dried in the house. I had a bouquet of flowers for my birthday, I think it was, and I just picked these out and left them to dry in a vase in the kitchen. And then a few berry picks that were dried, and I picked those up from my local florist in Edinburgh. And then a stem of rose hips that are also dry and quite pruny, but they'll just add the colour that I want throughout the wreath. And then I have some extra large cones here that are not going in the wreath, but I think I might use those in my garland. And then some bits and pieces that I picked up. So the pepperberries, the pink pepperberries, I think these are beautiful. And I want to try and incorporate them in some way. They're from a florist actually down in Dorset called Pamplemousse, and I couldn't resist those. And then at the local florist where I picked up the berries, I found these stems with gold spray. Now usually I don't actually like things that look very false, like glitter sprayed things or gold sprayed stems, but I don't know, these seem to be quite subtle and I think they might just give something to the wreath, so I might add those in. And then I have some teasel that I didn't use in my mantle decor, and I thought I would keep some to pop into the wreath. A variety of cones in different shapes and sizes. Some Scabia stellata seed heads that were from the summer. I dried those. And then I found these in I have a Christmas tree that I usually pop up in the dining room, and I dried some oranges years ago, and they're quite dark now, but I quite like that. They're still hard, they're not mouldy or soft in any way, so I thought I might incorporate those. And then in the wreath kit that I bought, they also supplied some dried, or semi-dried teasel heads. And they're actually quite a bit smaller than the ones from my garden, and I think that would be lovely, just having the varying sizes. And then I have some nigella seed pods. I don't know actually how they'll hold up because my wreath is likely to be rained on, and I think they could go quite soggy quite quickly. I'm not sure what this is, but they've got lovely structure to them. So we might try and include those, and then we have the foliage that I cut in the garden. Other supplies that I have are my snips and some paddle wire. You're going to need that to secure everything to the wreath. And then let's just talk about wreath forms for a minute. So I have quite a few different styles, and depending on where you are in the world, different wreath forms might have more advantages for you. So as an example, this is a moss covered wreath. I've had that hanging there for a couple of years. The moss is currently dry, but if I spray it with water or soak it with water, it will hold the moisture well and I could use it again. So if you're in a drier climate and you know your wreath won't last very long, consider wiring some moss to a base before you start layering on your stems in order to keep it looking fresher for longer. And then I have this willow based wreath that I think I'm actually going to use today. This one, I love it. I love the rustic feel to it, and it's sturdy and it's quite a large, you can see there in comparison to that one, it's quite large. I think that could be 35 centimeters in diameter. And then over here I have some ones that sort of made out of branches, just woven, just offer a different style. And then this is a dried wreath that I ordered from Paris Alma, who is now part of Alma Proust Flowers. They're flower farmers down in England, but before she was a flower farmer, she used to produce these absolutely exquisite everlasting wreaths. And you can see here she's used a moss base, but she's left it visible, which it's absolutely beautiful. And then she's got poppy seed heads, again Scabious stellata seed heads here, leaves, hydrangeas, there's some grasses. Absolutely stunning. So as I said, today I'm going to be using this one. I'm so sorry I forgot to turn off the heater in that last clip. It's off now, so hopefully you can hear me a bit better. So there are many methods, as I said, to create your wreath. There is the option to wrap this in moss and then just slide in different stems into the moss, and you can also use twine or the wire to hold the stems in place, and that's just individually going around and adding stems until you feel like it's full enough. Or what you can do is create all your bundles in advance. So you're going to create a little bundle by snipping off pieces from each, not that one because it's too long. So you can create a bundle like that, and then what you do is you wire that and you set it aside and you create all of your bundles before you attach them to the base. And I think that's a really good option as well, but I quite like to just, once I started, keep going. I don't want to do all of the bundles and then I'll go back to the wreath and start again. So I create the bundles as I go and just attach them to the wreath as I go, and that way I can just see what I want to add more and less of as I'm working my way round. So let me show you how I put one together. So to start your wreath, you want to attach your paddle wire to the top of the wreath, and I do that by just holding a piece over there like that, and then I just want to make sure my hands aren't in the way so you can see, and then I wrap it around the wreath form a couple of times, keeping it nice and tight. And then I take the end piece and the piece that's attached to the paddle and I just wrap them around each other as many times as you need to make it completely secure. And then I'll place my paddle wire there. So once you've done that step, you want to just leave your paddle wire to the side, and you're not going to cut the wire till the end of the process. Like so. There isn't much pine in the wreath kit, so I'm just going to add that quite sparingly. There we go, so that's my first bundle. So then what you want to do is place that on the wreath form, and I'm going to start with it slightly angled in the way. Hold it to the wreath and then wrap your paddle wire around 3 times. nice and tight. Piece of teasel. For that bundle, I'm going to layer it towards the outside and then wrap my paddle wire around again 3 times. And that's really the process. You're going to add bundles in the center of the wreath, and then to the outer side of the wreath, and then to the inside of the wreath, and you're gently overlapping them each time to hide the wire and the place where they're joined. So I'm going to keep going, and then I will show you as I get around halfway through. Halfway through, and I'm loving how it's coming together. I love the sort of softer palette, but still the little pops of red and the seed heads. It's coming together quite nicely. So at this point, it's probably good to hold it up and just check the shape. Just make sure to hold it onto your paddle wire so it doesn't fall apart. And don't worry too much if you've got any gaps, because you'll just use some of the stems and foliage to fill those in at the end. So I'm going to keep going and show you once it's done. Stage, you can see I've got a small gap left. We're pretty much done. So I'm going to make a bundle, and I'm just going to slide it in. And this one's a little bit more finicky. You have to just weave your way through the stems in order to make that secure. So I'm just going to make a couple of bundles and weave those in, wrap around with the wire to finish off. So once you reach the end, roll out your paddle wire to about 15 to 20 centimeters and cut the wire off. You just want to wrap it round a couple more times and then secure it off at the back. I hope you can see that. I've hung that up on the shed door. Let me just try and take a step back a bit. And I'm actually loving how it's turned out. The pink is just given it such a different feel. But I feel like I need a little bit more in here. Make another bundle and add it into that little section. But other than that, I think it's nice and frilly and pretty even. More thrilled, let me show you what's left. So there's still a little bit of greenery left, and you can see I've got tons of the pink pepper berries left, and I'm so impressed with these because the berries have been dried in such a way that they're not falling off the stems. Even if they get tangled, they don't fall off the stems. Look at that. I'll be keen to see how they do outside in wetter weather. I did decide to pop some of the nigella in because they're just so lovely, and they picked up those lovely pink and red tones. So I think they work quite well. To wire in some pine cones and other bits and bobs, all you want to do is cut a length of wire. And then pine cones are so easy because they've got these natural breaks in the pine cone, and you can just thread the wire through there. So I like to do 2 pine cones together like that, and then just weave the wire through, and the same on the other side. So I'm going to pop those in. And that is my wreath done, so I'm going to pop that on my front door, and I'll wait till I have better light. We're losing light rapidly. There's hardly enough hours in the day at the moment. So I'll wait till there's better light to show you that in the morning. And if you like this video, if you could do me a favour and hit the like button and also subscribe, that would really help my channel out a lot. It's the next day and I've popped my wreath up on the front door, and I think it's turned out so lovely. I did add some bigger pieces of teasel. I added a red velvet bow, and I added some more orange slices. I think it looks full and that there's interest everywhere that your eye lands. So I am very happy with that. And next time I'm going to be attempting the garland at my front door, as well as some other garden jobs. So until then, take care.